this person we know as Jesus. And we listen to these words that come over and over in John's Gospel. Jesus saying, I am. So today, Jesus says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, so that where I am going, where I am, there you may be also. And you know the way to the place where I am going. Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? And Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you know me, you will know my Father also. From now on you do know him and have seen him. Philip said to him, Lord, show us the Father, and we will be satisfied. Jesus said to him, have I been with you all this time, Philip, and you still do not know me? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. But if you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. Very truly I tell you, the one who believes in me will also do the works that I do. In fact, will do greater works than these, because I am going to the Father. I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If in my name you ask me for anything, I will do it. So, what does it mean, really, when Jesus says, I am the way and the truth and the life? These concepts are not exactly clear, you know. The way to God, okay, sort of we get that. And the truth and the life, I don't know, it just, for some people maybe that grabs them. But for some of us, including some of these disciples, it's a little confusing. You know, what do you mean that I can see God because I know you? And where is all of this going? Where are you taking me? And they're wondering because they've only known this man for a short period of time. Maybe, according to John's Gospel, for a couple of years. But still, he's always surprising them with one thing or another. And they got to be saying, who is this person that we know as Jesus? At that wedding feast in Cana, when Jesus heard that they were running out of wine, and his mother said, hey, help them out here. And Jesus said, no, it's not my time. And she just walked away and told the stewards, do whatever he told you, because she was his mother, and she had just told him to help her. And that, well, it's not my problem, carries no weight at all with Mary. But you remember that, and you remember how he took this water and he blessed it, and when it got to the steward, it was wine, and it was good wine. And now he is saying again that he is something. He is something. He has been the good shepherd, you remember that. Opens the gates and lets the sheep come and go as they please. He's the one who turns water into wine, And now he says he's the way and the truth and the life. We don't know much about the workings of the mind of this person that we call Jesus. And a lot of it, I suppose, is because it's beyond our level of understanding. And John doesn't exactly make it clear, at least not in a language that we speak. Maybe the mystic would know more clearly how John opens in this gospel a view of God and Christ and how they relate. But the people like me who don't make a very good mystic, have trouble sitting still, trouble keeping my mind on one thing, trouble thinking that somehow if I just do this every day, I'll get better at it. Just doesn't happen. But there are parts of this that seem to resonate, I think. We live in a world where we can see and hear and touch and taste. And we mostly define ourselves within that part of the world, the people that we know and the way that we feel. And in all of this, there are questions of identity that start really from birth. There are some people who have gone to great lengths not to reveal the birth, what would you call it? How their child is endowed in being either male or female, and they will just refuse to tell you. And it bothers people a lot. Well, why is that child wearing pink? It must be a girl. Or why is that child dressed in overalls? Maybe it's a boy. And from an early age, we learn how to discern all kinds of things, so that if we're driving past a field and we see an animal out there, we can tell from quite a distance whether it's a cow or a horse. Even children can tell the difference quickly between a dog and a cat. And within that whole range of dogs, I mean, think how many different kinds of dogs you see every day. Some are huge, some are tiny, some are covered in hair, some are not so hairy. They're all different. But you know right away that this is a dog. But identity on a deeper level, that confuses us. And we wonder oftentimes, who are we meant to be? What are we meant to do? How are we meant to live our lives? And we are baffled sometimes by people who assert that something about them is just not right. And if that's as far as it goes, we think, well, you're being too hard on yourself. You're fine the way you are. You don't need to worry too much about it. But for some people, there is something deep within them that says, no, part of what you are is not being expressed, and you're not living the life that you were really meant to be. And it has to do, perhaps, with your physicality, but also with how you are treated by the world around you. You know that you are different, and you know that the people around you think there's something wrong with you because you think you're different. I was thinking about this a lot because of a lot of the work that has been going on in some of the states of our United States of America to outlaw the provision of medical care for children, that would be anyone under the age of 18, who doesn't identify with the sex that was assigned to them at birth. Some of us saw Ellie yeah, recently, who has made a long, long journey from being a man to now being recognized as a woman, with a lot of pain and suffering along the way, and a lot of efforts to get that all out of her mind and make it the way she was living, the way that everyone wanted her to be, the people closest to her, like her wife and her children. And yet, she couldn't quite do it. And these laws that are being passed are making it impossible for doctors to know whether they might be sued for malpractice, for helping a child who identifies strongly with an identity that is not the one given to them at birth, and their parents who are trying desperately to keep their child well in the larger sense of the word, not just physically able to do things, but also emotionally and societally able to function. And in these states, it is becoming more and more clear that it isn't just children that they're trying to protect. It isn't just a feeling that maybe children are being somehow steered into a false identity because their parents have some, maybe they always wanted a boy and instead they got a girl and now that's not going to work. No, that's not really what's going on. What's going on, I think, and I'm not the only one who thinks this, is an attempt to make someone the other. An attempt to say that we have figured out what's wrong. And what's wrong is some people are letting their children tell them that they're not really a boy, they're a girl. And even though even the kids that this child may play with, even this child who is an identical twin and has a brother who is thoroughly convinced he's a boy, and the children that he plays with, his brother as well, they know, well, he's a girl. Well, and it doesn't bother them. It isn't something that they, you can't play with us. It's just, well, it's just that way, can't you see? Kind of reminds me, this is a silly example maybe, but when my son Sam was born, we had a friend who'd also had a baby near the same time. And so Elizabeth and Catherine, the two older children, both girls, and Steve and I took Sam, the baby, over to this friend's house, and we were, comparing babies and having a good time and talking about it, and just, they worked at the same company that we worked at, and then Catherine, who's 3 at the time, says, "Why is their baby brown?" And Elizabeth says, before anybody can react, "Well, of course he's brown. His parents are brown. Look at." And it was just, what do you mean? What do you mean, why? He's just like his mom and dad. Of course he is. And when children sometimes, especially before they've been inundated with trying to be cool and fit in, will instinctively know that that's just the way these things are. And it isn't good or bad, it just is. And so when we find people who want to make it bad, they want to make it seem like a terrible, terrible thing, and they want to make sure that their children aren't exposed to such terrible things, that their wonderful little children won't be somehow marred for life because they have had a classmate who didn't identify with their identity at birth, as if that's the real key to whether you're happy or not in your old age. And it also takes the focus off other things that are going on in life, other things that might be actually really important for a whole lot of people, and not just the ones who are having this issue. And somewhere in here I had a page that told me this. There are only 1.6% of U.S. adults that are transgender or non-binary. That is, their gender differs from the sex they were assigned at birth. 1.6%. That's not very many. And you know what? I'll bet we could live with that and nothing would be particularly different in our lives or in the lives of the people that we know. Whereas letting people remain in poverty, letting people be unable to have the same jobs or the same education or the same opportunities to buy a house because they're a dark brown instead of a light brown, or what we call flesh colored, as if that was something you could find. Well, I guess maybe at some times you could find it in the Crayola crayons, but flesh comes in so many different colors. There can't be one crayon for it. And so I urge us, there are 15 states in our country that have adopted laws to protect people from having foisted on them the idea that they might not be quite comfortable in the body that they have been given, in some parts of the body, not the whole thing. And it allows us to have somebody to blame for all of the things that we think aren't quite right in the world. And people will tell us, as they have told us before, that when someone becomes the other, there really is no stopping what we might do to punish them for being the other. Whether that's their religion or their race, as we call that, or their sexual identity. All of these things can be used as tools for taking the trouble away from us. And so, as we think of Jesus' multiple identities, all of which we find deeply moving, and something that makes him more, makes him different perhaps, but also in a good way makes us different. And I'm going to end with this lament called Weep for the World. That is written by Brian McLaren. Let us weep for the world being broken apart by humans, foolish humans. Let us grieve the desecration of forest and stream, of glacier and ocean and humans like us. Let us be mindful of the children being born today in a world torn apart by humans. Let us show our children a more excellent way to walk on the earth and be human, truly human. Let us love this world we've been breaking apart, and let our love bring wholeness, and let us love one another with a compassionate heart, for it is love that makes us human. Let us weep for the world we are breaking apart, so we can love it back to wholeness. Let our hearts be stretched by great sorrow and love, so they will never contract to being less than human.